What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. This is episode number 9. I'm your host, Nestor, aka Next Level OC. If you haven't followed me yet, go ahead and follow me now. Today, I am joined with an artist from Irvine, Irvine's very own, Miklo. Miklo, what's up, bro?
What's poppin', compa? How are
What's up,
you?
bro? I'm doing good, bro. This looks awesome, bro. This fucking studio looks dope, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Now, for those that don't know, I'm with Miklo. Miklo has been in the game for a while. Miklo, for those that don't know you, go ahead and introduce yourself, my guy.
So my name is Miklo. I'm Irvine's very own, born and raised. Been here since I was a baby. Obviously, I've been in the music game for
That's right.
7 years. Since 2016, I was a baseball player starting out, and then unfortunately that didn't work out. But God had other plans, and He felt I was chosen to be an artist, and I feel humbled and privileged to have this ability to make music and create,
Mhm.
inspire people, tell stories, and in any way, shape, or form, have people relate to my music.
Yeah, man. And I know that we were talking a little bit off camera. I know that you just graduated, man.
Just
Right?
graduated college 2 weeks ago.
There you go. And congratulations, by the way,
Thank
man.
you.
You're pretty much ahead. You're pretty much ahead of most people, man. And if you don't have to, but go ahead and tell people about the major, man, that you graduated from.
So I graduated from Orange Coast College with a certificate and an associate's AA degree in MIDI music and applications. So like using programs and stuff like that, obviously.
Like Pro
MIDI
Tools and
music.
like all that.
Yes, but it's so funny is I think OCC should update themselves a little more on that because I learned through Cubase, which was interesting because
Okay.
I use Logic. Logic is what I
Yeah,
use
Logic
for most
would
of
be,
my
yeah.
when I'm recording myself, at least obviously when I work with other people, Pro Tools is industry
Pro
standard
Tools.
wherever you go. So
Exactly.
I find myself, using those two, but in school I learned Cubase and it was very interesting. And then we learned a little bit of Pro Tools in one class I took with shout out Dennis Anderson if he watches
Shout
this.
out Dennis.
He was my engineering, oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of the class, recording techniques.
Okay.
He was my teacher and I think like my second or third semester 2019 right before the
Okay.
pandemic hit. But we did that and I learned a little bit of Pro Tools. Now I think looking back, I'm like, oh, that makes more sense because
Of course.
I didn't know jack shit. I was thrown into that class. I didn't know what to expect. He taught things pretty well, but I find what was most challenging about the class is, sometimes being in a class of that capacity, we were 30 plus kids. There's only so much you can learn, unless you're being really hands on. It was
Exactly.
one by one by one by one in parts of the class when the lecture was an hour and a half, 2 hours long. You're just like, oh, fuck, wait, I want to sleep.
I'm fucking done. Now,
But,
and I didn't mean to interrupt,
No,
man.
you're
I
good.
know that you mentioned that you've been in the game for, you said 7 years, right?
7 years.
How did you get in the game, bro? Like, what introduced you to the game? Who were your influences? Tell me a little bit about that, man.
So I'll say this. I find that my introduction to music itself was always there. Growing up, I listened to AC/DC, Van
Hey,
Halen,
yes.
Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra. My mom being Hispanic, I was growing up listening to Cri Cri for nursery rhymes to speak Spanish. For those who don't know, obviously, shout out Cri Cri, rest in peace. And I was listening to Vicente, rest in peace, Juan
Juan
Gabriel,
Gabriel, ese güey.
ese way. He's a crazy one for sure. Oh my goodness, who else? Cheyenne is another
Oh,
one. I
Cheyenne.
think.
He's great. So pretty much all the old school
Yes.
that our parents would listen to.
Of course.
So you can say that you had a lot of mix of music, man, because you had
Yes.
English and Spanish together.
Mhm.
So, okay.
And I guess my introduction in terms of like when I started making music, I was a sophomore in high school. I was the team manager for the baseball team. I wasn't even a player.
Dope shit.
I was the team manager for varsity and I liked it. Obviously, people gave me so much shit for it and bullied me nonstop. And I got to a point where I think my love for baseball was fading for many reasons.
Mm.
And I still love the sport, and I have teammates doing well. Shout out Matt McClain. Matt, if you watch this, I love you, bro.
You heard that, Matt? Shout out to you.
He's doing big things for the Cincinnati Reds. He's their starting
Hey.
shortstop and second baseman. right now.
Damn, dope shit. Shout out to you, bro.
Shout out Matt McClain. And I just I was falling out of love with it, and I wasn't getting the playing time I want. I wasn't putting in the work like I should have. And I was letting other people's opinions really affect me on it. Unfortunately, I think baseball is something I definitely want to, step back into at some point. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I was with my friend Vice at the time, who was my biggest mentor. Like I was telling you off camera, he's like my Michael Jordan. He hates when I say that, but it's the truth. He's my Michael Jordan. I'm his Kobe Bryant for sure. And one day I'm at his apartment, his dad's apartment, because he lived very close by to me at the time. I was a 5-minute escape from him. and I would take the trail. So he was in his room, and I was in his room with him. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he had just pulled up Logic. I'd seen Logic for the
Oh
first
shit.
time, and I
Okay.
was like, "What is that?" He's like, "Okay, so this is this music program called Logic Pro. Apple makes it. It's really dope. You can make music with this, and you can make songs out of this." And I was like, "No way, sick." And he kind of looks at me for a second, and this is like when I first started really getting into hip hop.
Okay.
I was listening to hip hop growing up, but I would say like the hip hop that started to come around at that time, Uzi, um,
All,
Playboy Cardi,
all the Lils.
yeah, all the Lils,
All the
Pump,
Lils.
Yachty.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because on top of that, I wasn't allowed to listen to those guys in my friend group. They made
Okay.
me listen to only Chicago drill rappers. So I was listening to Chief Keef,
Interesting.
FBG Duck. I wasn't allowed to listen to Drake or any of those guys who influenced me because
Oh
they
shit.
were claimed as too mainstream. So
I get it. Yeah.
FBG Duck, Montana 300 is someone who really inspired me to rap. Travis Scott,
Travis.
Travis is a big influence. But those guys really influenced me. But going back to that point with Vice, he looked at me and he said, "I think you should try music." I was like, "What? You're crazy. Like, I don't, this doesn't make sense for me in any way, shape, or form to do like music. Me? What?" You know, because I was so fixated on baseball. I was like,
On
you know
baseball,
what?
yeah.
Maybe I go to college and I'll be a team manager and I'll learn that route and I'll become a manager for like a big baseball team down the
Yeah.
line or something, or a player somehow. But he just looked at me and he was like, "Yo, like, try this out." And I remember he made this cheesy little beat on Logic, as we all do when we first start out. We're
Of
barely,
course, it's the beginning.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're barely 16, 17 coming into this, and he's just like little boom, 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 you know, on the little interface. And I started spitting some ideas. I remember taking OT Genesis's song "Cut It," the instrumental, and writing
Oh,
to
you need
that.
to cut it.
Yeah. And Push It, because the Push It had just come out.
Push
Push it, push it, push it. And I was writing to those two instrumentals, and I made this idea off of that, and I put it on that beat. And I started rapping from that point.
So, when you, let me ask you this, man, because like I told you, when I heard your song, your single, we'll talk about that. Um, for those that haven't heard his music, I think your blend is like The Weeknd and Drake, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got to hear it, right? At least that's from my perspective, man. So, would you say that you didn't start off like that? Obviously,
No.
man. Like in the beginning, when you were jumping on that beat, was it just pure rap, bro? Was it something that obviously you heard with the Lil Uzis and the Travis Scotts? You started with rap first, and then you started developing your own genre.
Yes.
Okay.
It was definitely, it was rap first. I think hip hop and just rhyming in general has always been my first love, and especially in this. I've always had a connection to that. And some of the music that isn't out yet, that will probably be out by this time, is going to be more lyrical, more of what
There you go.
you know, a different side of me.
Yeah.
The singing came from, I guess, majority of my friends are singers. Vice is a singer. My friend Devereaux is a singer. My
Shout out
boy,
to them.
yeah, shout out to them. My boy Physics is a singer, and these are people who, you know, I was around, you know, from 2016 till now, who kind of really just showed me different pockets and different ways of singing. And I think what really gave me that avenue, you know, in terms of the autotune side of things, he gave me that confidence to really go on the microphone in that way, was Travis Scott. When Antidote came out, I remember
Antidote
listening
was
to
dope.
it
Yeah.
in the car, and you're lit with your friends off a backwood or whatever the case may be, and we're listening to that, and I just remember hearing "Don't you open up that window," and hearing those melodies and those pockets at the time that I didn't know was that, and I
Yeah.
was like, I want to do this, you know, and it sounded really cool to me. It sounded refreshing. It sounded different. I felt part of his story. I almost, as someone who doesn't smoke as much as I used to, we'll probably cut that actually. Fuck. Even though I smoke.
You didn't hear that.
Sorry, mom. But like as someone who doesn't smoke, I felt a part of that. I
I
felt a
got you.
part of Travis's world, and I felt a part of him being lit or high, as he would say. It's lit. Hearing all that, but yeah.
And I know that you mentioned your homies right now, the homies that you started with. Are they still there, bro? Is that part of your team? Is that your team now?
Yeah, so in terms of my team and people I work with, I'll try to list them off. Devereaux, of course, is a collaborator. We collaborate from time to time. Great friend of mine. Shout out her. She's actually on my song that we'll talk about later, Complicated. Vice, my number one, day one in this music business and this music shit, was always him. My boy Ian Neffer has his own multimedia company, Moonbox Studios, alongside his boy and my boy Terry Kim. They do a lot of my videos. They've done Tabasco. They've done my
Dope
video
shit.
for calendars. They hopped on. Complicated was the most recent project we did, and then we have an unreleased song coming out very soon with a video on the way. So they do a lot of that for me. In terms of behind the scenes of what you saw on YouTube, actually, when I sent you my stuff,
Yeah.
filmed by Jester, Megan Pistachi, Valeria Serratos, shout out to them, and Sam. Oh my God, I don't even know her last name. I just know her as Sam. Shout out
to you,
Sam.
Sam. Shout out to you. You're not forgotten.
So those 3 girls are my diamonds in the rough in terms of the behind the scenes stuff. In terms of artists I work with, Fizz is like me and him are Shaq and Kobe for sure in that sense, where we just go back and forth. We push each other. We do our best to be dominant forces, you know. And Fizz is someone whose family, Gabe is all these people you hear me name are family for sure. I'm trying to think who else I have so many.
No, yeah, and this is what I was gonna say, man, because I know that now a person who has a team, right? Who would you or what would you say to those artists that are trying to do it by themselves, right? Compared to you having a team, right? Somebody who's helping you behind the scenes, who's doing your camera work, who's doing all this, compared to someone or an artist who doesn't have a team. Like, what can you compare both?
I will say this. As someone who's always been a collaborator my whole life, and I was telling you off camera this as well, my guy, I find it very challenging to do things by myself for certain things. Obviously, when I write music, I'm by myself. I can record myself, no problem. But when it comes to the final say of things, there's a reason I go to Lalo. Shout out Top Boy.
Shout out Lalo.
For my mixing right now. He's my Coach K for sure. You know, really pushing me to always make the best song and always, you know, going forward. When I have my producers, Stunna, 97, Puñas over. I think he's in Spain if I'm not mistaken. Limitless, YSL. Oh my God, there's so many. Snowbone, shout out Snowbone. We got some crazy stuff coming on the way for sure. Without these pieces, I don't, move as smoothly. I can move by myself. And for example, Russ does that very well. I know Russ at one point coming up, shout out Russ, was doing a lot of things by himself. But if there's one thing I've learned, at least for myself, I always like having a second opinion, to be really on the safe side. Hey, this is the idea I had, and I think it's so, what would you change? And that's what ends up happening. With Complicated, we had something completely different from what we put out. We took our time with it, and it ended up being a year and a half of just planning and budgeting and saving up money for it until Ian had decided and kind of pulled me aside. Was like, yo, I have this idea, and I know we had this in mind, but I feel like there's someone who could really take this to the next level, and that would be the director who directed Complicated. Shout out Chandler Burke. He was nice enough to step in, and was all ears, ready to go, and just brought this incredible idea to life. And we shot that video over the course of 12 hours in one day.
God damn.
3 different
dedication.
rooms. Dedication for sure. We had a full makeup team on staff. So I'm going to shout out my stylist, Eliza Guiona Brown. She's an incredible human being. Got me looking fresh. Even in this outfit, she helps me design stuff like this and really kind of helps me step out of my comfort zone in terms of looks. From, of course, Converse to cargo pants. This is my boy. Shout out Cambo. His clothing brand. I don't know if the people can see it, but All Hype LA. I just, copped this shirt. Really dope design for Drake. Who's one of my favorite artists.
We'll put that in the description, guys, for sure.
For sure. But definitely to those that are moving with or without an artist, or not an artist, with a team.
Yeah.
I think it's way better to move with a team. It takes a village to make the best artists. There's a reason Bad Bunny, Drake, and a lot of these great guys that we listen to, Peso Pluma, they all have a team behind them, and people think it's so funny. They're like, oh, well, it's Peso doing all the work. And I'm like, no.
Nah. So, yeah, man, I found that having a team, having an effective team helps things move a lot smoother, like you were saying, man. But I think, this generation now thinks, I would say it's a little bit much easier. Just going off topic, man, I think it's a little bit much easier. Now you have Instagram, you have TikTok. You could blow up for sure, like with one reel or one little video here and there. But it's not like having your own team, like having your own camera crew, having somebody run your social media, having your other artists that you can collaborate, having your singers, having your producers. I think you're right, man. All that is definitely a little bit much.
Yeah, and I mean, it really shows. Like, and I'm also a sound engineer, so even the artists I may not have collaborated with yet, I have one artist who's been coming here a lot recently. I'll give her a big shout out for sure. Keone. She's she's something else. I don't know how much I can say because I don't know if it's gonna be out yet by this time or not. But she
Don't get mad.
don't get mad if you see this, Keone. But I had the privilege of recording a Christmas project for her.
Dope shit.
And I don't know when it's gonna come out, but we did, some dope ideas for it, and I had her here, sitting in here, and just kind of studying her because, again, I'm a pretty decent singer,
Interesting. Yeah.
but she's been doing this her whole life practically, and seeing how her and her family and her team move, I was picking their brains and I'm trying to understand how they work and what they do. Even I want to say one person who's really impacted me recently in terms of how to move is my boy Speak Life 310. Shout out, Coach. Speak Life 310. He is a promoter, artist, producer, a jack of all trades, like many of us on this team. And he's someone who reached out to me when I came to, actually, no, I went to one of his shows because Physics was performing for Watch the Throne 3 over at Lava before it closed down. And I chopped it up with him, and I was kind of telling him the type of time I was on. We got coffee together, and he was just like, yo, dog, I really like the way you're moving. I have a show coming up. Would you like to perform? And from that point forward, we've been, inseparable. We've been having meetings every week. We just got a lot going on, but I'm so, fortunate and blessed to have these people in my corner for sure.
So I want to transition a little bit, man. I want to talk about you as an artist, right? Like, knowing now about your team, are you heading more towards being independent, bro? Or are you looking more to be signed and all that? What are your perspective on both?
I'm gonna say this. This is one thing I've really been pushing for is pushing to be the higher draft pick. So whatever that means to people, whether it thinks, oh, he's gonna stay independent or he's gonna get signed, that's up to y'all. But my mentality right now is to be the higher draft pick. I'm not even thinking too much about being signed right now. And obviously I'm independent at the moment, but my whole mentality is staying conditioned, staying prepared, and whatever opportunity is thrown my way down the line, I'll be ready for it. I think anyone who wants to take their game to the next level should be signed because they can open up a lot of doors for you that you may not be able to open on your own. Not saying that you can't. I've seen a lot of independent artists do very well independently, but you see a lot of the big artists that are now considered independent. Logic as one of them,
Shout
right?
out to Logic.
Shout out to Russ.
Joyner Lucas.
Snow the Product.
Hobson. All those.
Yeah. Tory Lanez.
Yeah.
But they all started off of labels. I don't know about Snow the Product personally, but I know that like Tory and a lot of these guys had deals at the forefront before they made that jump. So I suggest if you're trying to be at the top, in my personal perspective and from what interviews I've seen, always, be sure about the deal. Don't jump right into it. Obviously, I think one thing that always stood out to me, I had a mentor at the time tell me this, is that sometimes people will give you the most random boonk ass deal, and it's a McDonald's, and you Google it. She said, literally Google it, and it's like a McDonald's contract. They'll do some slimy shit like that depending on who it is. I'm not saying all industries are like that.
Yeah.
But she would tell me to prepare like that. So I'm not looking for the money. I'm looking to make history. So whatever route allows me to make history, but most likely it'll be, being signed to something or someone in terms of label for what I'm trying to do. But yeah.
Yeah, because shout out to Russ, man, because one interview that I heard Russ say is it's good to have your followers already as an independent artist.
Yeah.
Right? Because then pretty much once you transition into a label, you're bringing your whole audience with you. So I think that's more value in there compared to just being a brand new artist and just expecting, just because you're in a label, you're going to be known and shit.
Yeah.
But I know we talked about performances, man, right?
Yeah.
Can you remember your first performance, man? And how was that?
My first performance was in 2018. I want to say around September, October, I believe. If I still have September, October. I had the connection through my boy Ramius at the time, who was doing music, and he connected me with the promoter, TG Tay Goody. Shout out him. He's doing clothes now, actually.
Hey.
And it was to open for I Don't Know Jeffrey, who was an underground rapper at the time. Was pretty poppin', I believe, still to this day.
Okay.
Xavier Wolf was a guest as well, so I got to open for him, who a lot of people tend to know Xavier Wolf more than any of the rappers I bring up that I've opened for. But I remember it was 400 people. It was in this spot called the Rare House in LA.
God damn.
And a lot of people that came up, I think, early in the rap scene. Like, I saw videos of 21 Savage, Post Malone, I think Playboy Cardi.
At that venue?
At that venue.
Dope shit.
when they were coming up.
Yeah.
Were going there. So it was really interesting to see that later on in some of their posts and stuff like that. But I remember I didn't know what to expect. You're selling tickets. You're introduced to that for the first time, the pay to play scene. You know,
Yeah.
putting money down to
Yeah.
pay for the tickets and what have you, or you're selling the tickets. So I remember selling as much tickets as I could. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
You walk in this little room and you're like, how in the hell are 400 people gonna fit in there? And boy,
How
did
the
they
fuck?
make it work. Obviously, when you go on, it's a smaller crowd. It was like 60 something, 70 something when I went on, but total was 400 people. And I just, well, there's nothing but backwoods in the air and freaking
Dope shit.
smoking gas and shit all over the
I was
fucking
lit,
place.
he said.
And so you're taking it all in for the first time,
Yeah.
man. And I remember sitting in the VIP afterwards, and it's just all kinds of shit, all kinds of conversations. You know, you got guys next to me handing me, wanting to hand me bricks and stuff and saying, "You want to take a hit for 50?"
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, "Bro, I'm good. I'm just here to make music, man. Anything that's not the music I tend to stay away from because it does nothing but good." And I think what really got me into that was I watched Ray Charles. Have you seen his movie Ray?
Yes.
With Jamie Foxx.
With Jamie Foxx. Yeah.
And seeing how, in that movie, you're seeing him slowly transition from, being
From
a
a nobody to
somebody and then a drug
Exactly.
addict and then
yeah.
rest in peace, Ray Charles. But like those experiences really kind of shaped me to, as much as hard as it is sometimes for most artists, like to stay sober. And, majority, if not all my work has been done sober. I've never really done anything drunk or high.
Congratulations, bro, because not that many artists can say that shit.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
And I mean, yeah, but my first show, I remember going on stage. Like, damn, bro, that shit was because you're just taking it all in for the first time. It's not even like you don't know what to expect. You see how shows play out in your mind, and some shows the artists that come are popping and stuff like that. And I had poppin' underground artists at the time, so I was just taking it all in. I went on stage. I did my thing. A lot of people reacted to it. Some people didn't because I wasn't their I wasn't their cup of tea. I was completely different. But their promoter at the time, I remember Mateo Day One, he pulled me and my boy Vice aside because Vice went with me, and he was just like, "Bro, you guys are dope. Like, keep going." And he had offered us to go with them on tour, I think to Texas and other places, but we felt we weren't ready, so we declined. To really just again lock in that higher draft pick mentality and do more. That's really what we're looking for, is to do that higher draft pick mentality.
What was the last performance, bro, that you done? And what city was it, and how was the venue, bro?
Okay, so my last performance was at Be Good Experience in Huntington Beach, a little smaller.
Okay.
It's a nice little restaurant that Speak, has been working out. Speak Life has been working out of. And the most recent show I did in November was, I would say, more on the laid back side.
Okay.
It was more intimate. It was more really just connecting with the crowd. And it was honestly really fun to be out there. And whether it's a crowd of 1 or it's a crowd of 5,000 or 500,000, I'm still going to give them the best experience
still
possible.
Gonna be,
yeah. So I really like, and it's funny or not, because I feel like the pressure's more on for me on intimate shows like this. When it's a bigger crowd, I tend to find myself not as nervous, which I find ironic because you think going into it like, oh, that it's the bigger crowds that get you nervous, but it's the smaller crowds that really get me nervous because it's more intimate. They can hear everything you're doing. They can see everything
They're more
you're
observant.
doing. They're more observant.
Yeah.
So I tend to really focus on doing a greater job, if you will, with the smaller crowds. Not to say that I don't push as hard with the bigger, but that's like my biggest focus with them is, do they feel connected? I'll interact with the audience more. If there's a girl in the crowd, I'll sing to her, because why not?
Hey,
you know what I mean?
You heard that, ladies? Hey.
But it's just stuff. Yeah, no, it was definitely a really great show, and I feel so thankful that Speak has been, so kind to me and welcoming and encouraging of me to continually push, for the forefront for what we're trying to accomplish. And yeah, I mean, that was definitely a great show. It's always a great experience. Mm-hmm. And I got to, as well, because my boy Ian, he does the sound engineering stuff over there at Be Good when we do the shows. So he was sick that day. So I also got to take a step and stab at the sound engineering part of things with the DJ Stutter. Shout out him. And I was also engineering the artists in between their sets.
Wow. Okay.
And then I went on, did my thing, and then came back. And it's just really cool. You get to see all the effects and how the effects are used, the reverbs, the delay, the, whatever effects you may want to add. Distortion, I think, was on.
And the control. You had control of that.
Oh, yeah. So it was definitely interesting. It was a challenge because sometimes the mic would be louder than expected. It would cut out. It was all these different, things going on. But you learn and you apply it to the next show for sure.
Dope shit, bro. I mean, just me hearing you speak about your performance, man. I'm gonna introduce you to Danny Boy. Shout out to Batch Records, man. These guys, I mean, if you want to perform constantly, these guys, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it, Danny Boy. But this fool, he goes to all these cities, bro. L.A., La Habra, because he's from La Habra, and he's just performing like every fucking week, bro. Every week. So I'll introduce you, bro. Like
For sure. We definitely
dope
got to
shit.
Shout out
Yeah,
Danny Boy.
yeah. Shout out Danny Boy, man. Um, what is something, bro, that you know about the industry, bro, that most people don't, right? Like it can be business deals, it could be collaborations, it could be backstabbing, it could be all this. What is something that you can tell people who are trying to go in the industry, man? Something that you know that they don't.
So I will say this: for every 2, 3 bad people you meet, there is one good person you will meet.
I love that shit.
And
I love that.
I think that you have to go through those horrible people that aren't horrible at the time, but show their true colors as you go down the line. My whole thing with this music industry is I want to make history. Like I told you, and I think this is probably the first time I'm gonna say this on air. But my biggest goal, my ultimate goal, is to succeed the big three: J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and Drake. They're hitting their graceful exit periods, and they've been putting in nothing but consistent hard work and dedication for the sport of hip hop, if you will, the music of hip hop.
Yeah, you can say that they're at the pinnacle, bro.
Yeah, they're
Right
at the
now.
pinnacle.
Yeah.
And well, on top of having a song with all three of them on it, that's another goal of mine. I want a song with Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, and Travis on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a big goal of mine as well. I would like to succeed them, and I would like to earn, that right to put hip hop in a better state of mind. I think hip hop is not saying that it's going down. Some people will argue and say it's going down. I think it's being experimented in many ways, as many, different ways possible. You got guys like Ken Carson and Playboy Cardi who do that. You know what I'm saying? They do stuff.
But they got their own. They got their own little thing going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeet obviously is another one. I do whatever I want. And you have the West Coast guys like OGZ, Shoreline Mafia at the time, YG, Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, obviously, when he was around. You have guys like that doing their thing. You have the Drakes. You have the, oh my goodness, who's not? Travis Scott. You have the girls as well doing their ass shaking music. City Girls, Saweetie, Sexy Red. You like my voice? You like my voice? So there's just so much
What would you
diversity.
say? I'm sorry to cut you out, man, because it just got me thinking. Like, because hip hop, as we know it, you're Latino, I'm Latino, bro. So there's a lot of Latinos that are trying to come into this space, man. Do you think that? How do I say this without offending anybody? Because we have our own separate thing, bro. We have reggaeton, bro. We have our Chicano rap. We have all our genres, right? You being a Latino man in the hip hop game, would you say is it more difficult for you, being a Latino, bro, being in this game, or would you say it's more an advantage because you reach a broader audience?
I think it's an advantage. I think it's an advantage because people don't expect it.
Hey.
I'm white by skin because of my father. My mom is from Mexico City. She's Chilanga, and my grandma's from Veracruz. So for me, it's an advantage. I always look at being biracial as an advantage because I get the best of both worlds.
That's right.
I speak English y también puedo hablar español y a veces equivoco con ciertas palabras, depende cuando estoy hablando en estas entrevistas, pero yo quiero que la gente que escucha estas entrevistas con nosotros entiendan que es posible hacer lo que quieres hacer en tu vida, con tus sueños, y este país que vivimos aquí en Estados Unidos hay muchas oportunidades para todos, pero tienen que trabajar muy fuerte y siempre ser la cosa más, ¿cómo se dice? Correcto. Cuando están entrando en esta cosa de música, especialmente cuando están haciendo cosas de rap, reggaetón, corridos, tumbados, lo que sea.
Yeah.
And I really want people to understand that there's so much you can be a part of. It's about where do you fit in. The question I always ask myself, going into this is, where do I fit in hip hop? I want to be the bridge to the gap. That's why for me, my biggest goal is to succeed Drake and these guys. I hope one day they look at this interview and be like, wow, like you were saying that and now we know you and now like we see it, Meek. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? We see what you're doing, compa, and we want to applaud you, but I have to earn it. I still have so much to this game to prove. I'm
of
barely
course.
coming in, even 7 years. Like, it's so funny because I think when I have my first real big breaks, it's like I'm still coming and I'm still learning. I'm only 23. I've been doing this since 16. So yeah, it's definitely an advantage. I love being Hispanic. I love everything about my culture. I love how proud we are and how hardworking we are as being Hispanic and Mexican.
Saludo, mi raza.
Saludo a mi raza, saludo a mi gente. Aquí estoy desde Jalisco,
Es
desde
todo.
la Ciudad de México, Chilangos. Aquí saludo también a la gente de Veracruz, también la gente
Veracruz.
de Sinaloa, lo que sea.
Hey.
Aquí estoy apoyando a todos aquí en Estados Unidos, trabajando muy fuerte como ustedes.
Yeah, man. And one thing that I can say, man, about the Latino community, man, is like y'all need to support other Latinos, bro. Like it's definite. I would say it's difficult, man. I'm speaking just for myself, because of hip hop, it has always been, just African Americans and like all these other ones for sure. But like you
Yeah.
don't really see like Latinos, man. So go support your freaking artists out there, man. Latinos, we're trying to make it too. Like we can do it. We can all fit in this genre together. So go support, guys, for sure.
Yeah, like the ball is in your court if you want it to be. That's what people need to understand. Like what I've learned so far in this industry is it's a lot of networking.
Of course.
My biggest thing is, and this is what I tell every artist I meet is, I read this book that a Quincy Jones made.
Shout out Quincy Jones.
Shout out Quincy Jones. I
Yeah.
hope I can meet him. You know, he's someone who I really look up to. But he made this book called The 12 Notes on Life and Creativity,
Mm.
and it's forwarded by The Weeknd. So I read the entire book front to back, and the one quote that always stood out for me, and this is something I always tell artists to live by, is the music you make can never be more or less than who you are as a human being.
Holy shit.
And that's something I always live by. I'm a human being first. I'm not a perfect one, but that's something I live by in terms of my music. I'm a human being first, you know. And I'm one of the, I would say, the lucky few who got selected to be this. I really don't think it was by chance, like, oh no, it was God for whatever reason felt this was the path I need to take first, you know, in terms of where I want to go. And there's so
Yeah.
much history I want to make. Music is so rich, and being Hispanic for me is so rich. I love the reggaeton scene. I love Maluma. I love Sebastian Yatra. I love Jay Cortez, Bad Bunny,
Todos.
Anuel AA. Yeah,
Todos
todos.
is way, todo the mix.
But yeah.
Man, let's go into family for a second, man. How was that conversation like with your family, bro? Like with the moms or pops, like, hey, I want to do this music thing. You know what I mean? How was that conversation?
Well, I think my parents have always been supportive of what I want to do. My father, you know, is he works as, like, I guess from what I can say, he works at this company where he's an overseer of, like, they make like chips and stuff, Cheetos for like computers and stuff.
Oh,
like
nice.
that.
Okay.
And he's in the business.
Okay.
My grandfather was my step grandfather, who's like my grandfather, rest in peace. Was a businessman. They wanted me to go into business. My dad supported me either way, but my grandfather always saw me as a businessman, and he supported me either way as well. My mother supports what I do as well, but she gets worried for me because she understands at times how violent hip hop is and can be from what we've seen obviously on TV with
Yeah.
artists dying
Yeah.
and unfortunately a lot of ignorance and tomfoolery going on from what I've seen, you know, over stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But my parents have been very supportive. My mom will still at times, mijo, just be a Spanish teacher. Go to school.
Ay, mijo.
Because Uncle Mario is she'll say Uncle Mario is a teacher. You should do it. It's good.
Yeah.
You get a pension. I tell her this. I say, because one of her like holistic people she works with, he says this all the time. La decisión ya está hecho. So I say that to her, and she's like, "Oh, now you take his advice."
Pues sí, me entiende.
Yeah. But I feel like the impact I want to make, I can't do as a teacher yet. Maybe I plan to maybe go back to my high school when I get older, because I don't see myself fully retiring, and being a hip hop teacher and having like a hip hop team for the high school and teaching them how to go into the game, like how I came up and
Yeah.
teaching them certain things and stuff like that. I feel like that would be really interesting. But for the magnitude that I want, I have to be on the forefront. I have to be where Drake and some of these guys are. I have to understand how they fit and how they work. I have to, have these conversations metaphorically and, personally sit down with them like we're having lunch and we're asking each other like what our moms packed us for lunch. I want to be at that table, if that makes sense.
I think you said it best, bro, because you said in a conversation earlier that you have to earn it. right? So I think correct me if I'm wrong, man. Like once you earn your position in this industry, then you can go out, spread your message, teach it to the kids, teach it to the youth, and you'll feel good about it, bro, because you already put in all this work. Is that where you're
Yeah, for sure.
dope shit, man? So moms was always cool. Obviously, moms worry, as she should.
Yeah.
Entiendo, mamá, entiendo. But so how did you start, bro? Like, was it in your room? When was it that first time where like your mom or dad like heard you record, or have they heard any of your music, bro?
They support me a little too much sometimes.
Well, they're
Whew.
yeah, they're mom and dad. You know what I mean? They're always gonna support their
Yeah, and
kid for
I
sure.
love that. I mean, my mom says like, Mijo, if you weren't good, I would tell you. If I wasn't good, she would tell me stop.
Okay.
But she says like, no, that's not the case. You have it, so just keep going. Obviously, I'm working more towards the marketing side and how I want to go on. But going back to your question, I thought I was gonna burp. Okay, never mind. I'm good. I was like, am I gonna burp?
We're good, guys. We're
We're
good.
good, we're
We
good,
do
we're
this
good,
live. We
we're
do this
good.
live.
But I started in Vice's room.
Okay.
And I recorded. I was like, I was chilling in my section, talking guap. I'm interested, trying to make that big investment, making money. This how I'm respect. I was making stuff like that that just didn't make sense. But you're 16 at the time,
I
so
gotcha.
it's like I was hearing OT Genesis say stuff like that in his songs. So I was, just
Mimicking.
mimicking ideas off of
gotcha.
OT
Yeah.
Genesis at the time. But I started there. Then I went to my bedroom once Vice moved away for a bit. Because he went to go live in Ontario with his mother after we were getting close to graduate high school. But we would go out, and this is when I stopped working, or not stopped working, I stopped being for the baseball team. So I stopped team management altogether to focus on music. And I would go every day after school to Vice's house, and we would go to the gym and work out, pump some iron, go in the pool for a little bit, and then just have, him cook up and then come up with ideas. And it was so funny because we used to think like, oh, we're gonna perform these at the pep rallies and all the girls are gonna love us. But to be honest,
Hey.
like those songs were just stepping stones. Like we
Yeah.
look back at those songs and cringe because we're just like, oh my goodness, the artistry and the camaraderie that we have now is just way better, and the ideas are more unique. And I think that's what we keep pushing for is unique. Obviously, I like to keep my ear to the streets no matter what, and I like to listen to what's hot and how can I fit in those pockets. That's really what I like to do is fit in those pockets, but also one of one is the mission.
Let's talk about your writing process, bro. Like, I know you mentioned with complicated, right? You said it took a while to record, right? It was a track that took you an excessive amount of time to kind of complete it and all that. What was the writing process with that song, man? Like, was it more like live? As you're going live, you started writing things down.
Oh
What
yeah.
was your thought? What was your thought process at that time? What was your moment like?
So complicated itself. The video took a while. So the video itself took a long time, but the song itself, funny enough, I was in the studio with Stunna. He's like my 40 for sure. He's definitely a day one as for me as well. In '97, and we always would cook up every other day, and we just be in here for hours, and we cook up a lot of R&B stuff, and we were cooking up. I had this idea. The sample came from a sample pack with I think it was Bunyas is his name, if I'm not saying it wrong, if I'm not butchering. Sorry, Bunyas, if I'm butchering it.
Sorry, man.
I don't know you. I know of you obviously because we collaborate, and I'm so appreciative of what we got going on. But the name I'm still learning, so bear with me. But I was just talking about how I liked this girl at the time. I worked with her at my job, and I needed to express it in some way. I was like, I like this girl, and I'm pretty sure she likes me. She ended up not liking me. Funny enough,
Bitch.
not even. She's a sweetheart. God bless her heart. Honestly, we remain pretty good friends to this day. But I remember she was leaving to France because her mom lives out there, so she was gonna go visit her mom in France, and I believe it was Cannes or Nice. She was telling me, so she was like, "Yo, well, I'm leaving. I wanted to come hang out with you before you leave, so we planned to hang out." I was like, "Yo, just come here." Or no, I said, let's actually go hang out and do something. I have a session beforehand, but like we can do something after. And she was like, no, I want to come watch you work. And I was
Oh
like,
wow.
Okay, well, shouts out
Alright.
to you for that. So she came through with her friend, and they sat. Well, the couch used to be over there. The couch used to be on this side. I came here at 4:30, wrote the entire song front to back
God
in
damn,
like
bro.
30 minutes.
Ooh.
And or the pizza's free. And
Freaking guy.
I wrote that quick because sometimes songs will hit me that quick. The
Yeah.
feeling is there, and I think when the
Exactly.
feeling is there, it's quick. Sometimes it's very long, but
Yeah.
I wrote the song. She, excuse me, came in. See, I told you I had to burp. Came in. I was recording the entire song, the demo, front to back in front of her.
Damn. Bro.
I was deathly nervous because I'm like, she could pick up on this and think I'm crazy, or she could either reciprocate
or like it. Yeah. Or
and
like it. Yeah.
she didn't. She actually didn't reciprocate in a crazy way. She was like, Eric, this is so sweet, but I don't like you like that. And I was like, okay, a little persistent afterwards, but I'm a stubborn kid, man. Like when it comes to girls, I'm like, girl, I don't believe you. You know what I mean?
You're a lie. Stop the cap.
Like stop the cap. I'm pretty cool, respectfully. But I recorded in front of her. She left, and then I sent the song to Devereaux, and I had Devereaux play the girl part because the song itself, for those who don't know about Complicated, is about a boy and a girl that really like each other, but they're going through their own complications of understanding each other and where they're at, the past traumas they've been through. And I like you, but it's complicated for me because X, Y, and Z happened before you came in the picture. So I was really trying to capture that because that's what I felt with that girl at the time. And I mean, regardless of what happened, because she ended up not liking me, I laughed so hard about it because I'm just like, oh my God, that's so funny. Laugh at your traumas, guys. Laugh at your traumas. Trust me. Laugh at them. It makes it so much better. I just what was I saying? Yeah, so like in that process I learned a lot. I also it depends because sometimes songs will hit me quick like that. And some songs will be like my first couple songs when I first came up, like Dead Love, and I had a song in there, Field of Crows. Field of Crows took me like 2-3 hours to make the entire song because I was sitting there line by line trying to rhyme stuff, trying to sit with the beat and make it make sense. And you learn a lot about yourself in those processes. But the first song you make is always the most challenging. The songs after that tend to be a lot smoother and it comes a lot quicker and crisper, I would say. But yeah.
Just hearing you speak about that, man, you can tell, man, that you put the emotion on there, man. Because I mean, you talked about this girl, you did this song in 30 minutes. What is another track, man, that you can think of where it had you in the emotions, it had you in your mind, it had you in your heart, where you were able to write it like boom?
It's an unreleased one, but I will say one of those. I'm trying to think because there's so many. One that's out for sure, I want to say Voice of the City is one of them. It's not so emotional in a sense where like it's talking about a girl, but it's being the voice for your community, the voice for your city, having that title. What does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to be a role model for your community? I say like I got a lot of bumps in the road building a bridge to the finish. Building a bridge to the finish, excuse me. Word to OD, I'm putting on, I'm the new voice of the city. Shout out OD, he's a barber at the barbershop I go to, the barbershop OC.
OD.
I shamelessly plug people. That's who I am. I love, showing love to everybody. But he said that to me one day. He said, bro, be a voice of the city. And I just really stuck with me, wanting to be that for the community. A lot of the stuff, I can't wait to talk about it when it's fully out and have a more, grasp on it.
Of course.
I love writing for the girls. Women for me are the biggest inspiration. They give me a lot of anxiety.
But we love y'all.
Because I don't know, man. Like I'm a sweetheart. So for me, I tell girls, I'm like, you don't want me. I'm too sweet. I'll give you a cavity. You know what I mean? I just
I'm too sweet. I'm gonna give you a cavity. That's fucking good one, bro.
I'm very corny in that sense because I just know who I am. There's so many dudes out here like telling me, bro, you gotta take control. You gotta do this. I'm like, dude, I'm doing the best I can. I'm all about conversation. I'm all about getting to know you before anything else. And that's why I think I've never been in a relationship. So for me, life really hits me like that. With Voice of the City, the same thing. It's being that leader, being the team captain, being someone who's involved with the community. I'm a server, obviously right now. I don't have, a big record deal on my doorstep or anything like that yet, but I'm a server. I'm in the community. I serve people food at, Ruby's Diner. They're coming to get shakes. They're coming to get burgers, chicken tenders. And my job is to make sure I'm a voice in their community while obviously giving them great service, but also whatever they need, I'm there. They're like my second family. How can I help you? Is your water good? If the guy's there with the cute girl, of course, are you guys good? Is there anything I can do to help you? That's what I'm about, man. And I think being a Boy Scout really taught me that as well. I will shamelessly plug Boy Scouts to the day I die, people.
This guy said I would shamelessly.
Because being a Boy Scout taught me so much in terms of leadership and how to enunciate things and how to approach life in a different aspect. They put you through so many different challenges. It's unfortunate how it's portrayed now.
No, yeah.
Because I know obviously there's so many changes that are happening, some for the good, some for the worse. But being a Boy Scout taught me how to move, how to be a voice of the city. And I became an Eagle Scout 3 days before my 18th birthday. And for those who don't know, an Eagle Scout is the highest rank in Boy Scouts that you can hit. And it's very challenging. They give you a boatload of these badges you got to earn.
Yeah.
You have to be involved in your community. You have to serve a leadership position in your troop. I was like one of the head leaders in the troop for a while, helping plan meetings. I want to do this, I want to do that. You're learning how to do logistics. You're learning how to delegate. A lot of artists, I think, need to learn how to delegate. That's why for me having a team is important, because I have to delegate things to them and they delegate things to me. I delegate a vision of how I want a music video to Ian and Terry. They help put it on paper, get it all into fruition, and help film it and edit it.
But you are the one with the idea and how you want it, and they're just there to kind of...
Sometimes. Because
Okay.
I will say that I will show them a song. It varies. That's the beautiful thing about having a team. Like Tabasco and Complicated especially, those weren't my ideas off rip. I explained to them the ideas with the song and what I felt.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for Ian and Terry and Chandler for Complicated, it wouldn't be what it is. Because Chandler was the one who brought us that really exceptional idea to have these 3 different rooms and to have like Complicated projected on the wall in letters.
Dope.
The smoke effects in terms of like fog and stuff like that. I think there was in certain parts. We had we spent like the first couple hours, or no, I want to say the middle half. We had like our camera and they had a kaleidoscope lens, and we were like changing the image on the kaleidoscope. Whew, I thought I was gonna burp. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. You're gonna see me burp a lot today, guys. I had food. I had Subway before this, but kaleidoscope lens, and then we also had a moment where, excuse me, we're doing
No worries.
we're doing simple shots in terms of like lighting with a light bulb, and I think he had to stand on a cardboard apple box.
Oh shit.
And there's a shot where he's putting a light and he's moving the light, and it looks really cool going on and off of our faces. So just stuff like that, man. If it wasn't for these guys, my ideas wouldn't be what they are. Our ideas wouldn't be what they are. And I think that's why it's so important to trust your team, to delegate to them and trust them with that process for sure.
Yeah, man. And I think you're right, man. Like, would you say if you have a team full of ego, do you think that works, man? Or can you give us an example of a time where you had to work with somebody, but they had an ego, right? Did it mix well? Did it not mix well? How was the delegation then?
I will say this. Having an entire team of ego doesn't work. There's no I in team, but there's an M in that motherfucker. I'll just say that.
God damn.
But rest in peace, Kobe. I just think that sometimes I've had to take the back seat because we have to do what's best for the song. Sometimes the idea I may have had works in my head, but when I would work with Vice, for example, with a lot of unreleased stuff we have coming out, it's very much trusting the idea and trusting, his experience in certain things. And while it may be frustrating in some aspects because you don't see it, what's best for the song? So what I always tell myself is, if it is ego, it's like, no, my idea is better, point blank, period. But it's like when I work with guys like Vice who are just incredible artists, Eric, my real name is Eric. So he'll say, Eric, like, this is what I'm trying to go for. I see your idea and what we're doing, but let's make that times 10. Let's do something one of one. Let's do something unique. Let's make it better than what it could be. And that's where people have to learn is like, that's not ego. That's just doing what's best for the song. And being able to take that back seat. Sometimes I'm in the front seat. Sometimes I'm driving the Ferrari today. And sometimes I'm in the passenger seat learning something new.
Exactly. Bro, I want to transition a little bit into collaborations, man. Like, I know you have your team already. Your team is great. You pretty much have everything you need there, man. But how do you look for, or how do collaborations happen for you, bro? Like, do you seek these artists? Do you listen to them first? Do they hit you up? Is there particular genres of artists that you pick? How is that?
I usually hit them up. I tend to be the one to always kind of make the first move. I very rarely had to be like, where people come to me and be like, oh, well, let's work. I get a couple of those every now and then as, you know, I climb the hip hop ladder, if you will.
I
And,
got you.
you know, but most of my collaborations, I've reached out to people. Devereaux, I reached out to because I remember she was in town for a session for herself, and I went to my boy 97, spot in Santa Ana at the Lockouts.
Shout out Santana,
Shout out Santana,
Santaneros.
Santaneros. And I would go to the lockout from time to time because my boy Obi and Eric 97 shared a spot there. So they were recording her. And I went out to that session, you know, obviously vibed out with her, got to, you know, feel what she was going for. And we, you know, started working. We did one song unreleased that we probably won't drop just in comparison to what we have now, like way better. And then we did Complicated. For, I want to say a lot of what I've done with Physics, for example, I met Physics through a mutual friend at the time.
Okay.
And he kept preaching to me that this kid was the next best thing since sliced bread. And at the time, I tell Physics all the time, man, because Physics are like, he's my brother. That's family for real. I told him, I was like, I don't know, man. Like this, because he played me some like stuff that sounded like it was made off an iPhone. Because at the time, that's what he was doing. He was off a GarageBand.
Gotcha.
And it was like this West Coast type. I was like, I just don't see it. And I sat down with him and I got to know Fizz for who he truly was. And I mean, we've been inseparable ever since. We collaborate every other week. We do, you know, so many different songs, and we have a pretty extensive catalog, released and unreleased. But I tend to reach out because I feel like it's just easier for me that way. Again, like even reaching out for the podcast as well. Like, hey, like this is, I've seen what you guys got going on. I really like it. I feel like we could have a dope conversation. I'm really big on that kind of collaboration. I see a vision, I just go for it.
Now, when it comes to collabing, bro, do you feel more comfortable being in the studio with that artist, bro? Or is it more like, I'm just going to go record my shit, bro, and then I'll send it to you and then you record your shit?
I prefer to be in the studio with them. I prefer like how we're having a conversation at the Den right now. They come here with me, or when I'm with Lalo, they come with me and Lalo, and we sit, we converse, we understand what we're trying to create. Or if I'm in LA with JP, shout out JP, at Nothing But Hit Studios. When I'm out there, I'll do that. It's hard sometimes because like certain artists I've had to kind of do an overseas collab or over email collab just because of their schedules and my schedules.
Exactly.
But I definitely prefer to do stuff with them in the studio. I like to converse. I like to build with them that way. I don't go into music thinking about business. It's very much, I build relationships with people. I don't have like friendships. I build relationships.
And I think that's very important that you said that, bro. Because I don't want to say most, bro. You see some artists, bro, that they'll collaborate with you and then that's it, bro. Done. And then we don't speak again and, you know, catch you on the next one. You know what I mean? But I think if you build those relationships, bro, you build those networks, I think it's everlasting. Because then you can always collaborate in another track again. Now, when it comes to genre, right? I mean, it's up to you, bro. You can say what you want, what you think, bro. Do you find yourself collaborating more with like LA artists, bro, or more Orange County?
Right now, it's been nothing but Orange County. I have a lot of love for my city. Obviously, there's certain things I just don't agree with in some aspects of how Orange County moves, but that's just my opinion, and people will do what they want to do at the end of the day. I have a couple LA collaborations. I have a couple unreleased with my boy. He's originally from LA. He's also from Santa Ana también. He claims Santana. Zay 27. Zay, if you're watching this, big bro, I love you, man. Appreciate you. And he's from, you know, obviously in Tarzana. He's out there, you know, and he comes down here from time to time, and then we collaborate that way. I definitely have some out of state collabs. I want to, you know, reach out, but the song hasn't come to fruition yet, so that's what I hold off on, is until the song has come to fruition. I'm confident in the idea, then I'll send it to them, and also have the bag ready in case they need the feature price, because you know you got to be prepared for that.
You do got to be prepared for that, bro.
But what's it called? I tend to, it really depends. Like mostly OC right now, just because that's where I'm from, and I have nothing but love for my city. I have nothing but love for Irvine, where I grew up. A lot of people say, "Oh, why do you claim Irvine? It's a suburban city." And I say, "Well, that's where I'm from.
That's where he's from.
I'm a
Yeah.
suburban kid, and I have no shame in hiding that. But and I don't care what people say on this. I grew up in Irvine, but I want to say Santana and Tustin have raised me just as much. Being Santana and you seeing how the streets work
Yeah.
and being, because I had friends that lived there. I still have friends that live there. I'm around a lot of that culture. I'm around a lot of those different cities because they taught me things. Being like I said in one song, I don't have it out yet, but it's like I said, like the hood was around the corner. That was something for me that I always was just like, wow, I'm in a suburban area, yes, because we're in Irvine, it's a suburban area,
Exactly.
but hood is right down the street. You learn a lot, you know.
and and you do, bro. And it's crazy that you say that because what I've noticed, like with Suerte Team, shout out to Suerte Team.
Shout out
They're
Suerte.
from San Clemente, but they say the same thing, bro. That Santana is the one that is always showing them love, and they're Raza too, bro. So it, it's amazing how you can be from from Irvine, you could be from San Clemente, you could be from whatever city, bro. But in Orange County, but somehow it's
It's all
Santana that
connected.
always shows the love, and we have the collaborations there, bro. You know what I mean? So I do appreciate that, bro. Shout out to Santana,
Shout out
los
Santana.
Santaneros, pinche Latinos, ya tú sabes. Now let's talk about your new music, bro. Right? So tell us about the new track that you have in YouTube. I know you just took it out, I think, a couple months ago.
Voice of the City, yeah.
Yeah, Voice in
Oh
the
no,
City.
or Complicated, right?
Well, Voice in the City. Let's talk about Voice in the City first.
Okay.
I know we talked about Complicated, but Voice in the City, bro. I know that one. When I heard it, it's almost like an anthem.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Halftime anthem
Yeah.
is, and then
Talk
Fizz
about
did
that,
his
bro.
thing. So I remember this is so fun. Let me get a little ready to go. You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
fucking go.
I remember this is probably around, I want to say maybe March of this year, around my birthday. I was at a timeshare that my parents own, and they were nice enough to let me stay in for a couple of days,
Nice.
because we didn't rent it out. And I was chilling out there. My boy Snowbone was trying to cook up something. Shout out Snowbone. And I was going through TikTok of all places. This is hilarious to
This
me. And this sample came on, and the video said, "Producers, sample this." And I heard it. I'm like, "Yo, sample this right now." I sent it to Snowbone. I was like, "Do something with this." For me."
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted is what he sent me. He said, "Let's go. So let's play ball." And I remember I was going to Compton the next week because I was recording out of there for the time being until I started working with Lalo. So I was in Compton with JP for a little bit. And I went to his spot and I said, "Yo, this is what I got." He was like, "Word." So I pulled up with the beat to JP's spot in Compton, east side of Compton, recorded the verse really quickly, the idea, "Chandelier where the diamonds is hidden, time to get down to the business." And then I started going off, and I really, and this is what I find so funny because a lot of people like that I do that kind of trap music that's very hip, like sports and very hip hoppy and melodic. And then I got half of my team like, "Nah, bro, everyone does this shit."
Oh God.
So I love this, bro. I love, cause like I'm thinking, when I'm doing this, I'm thinking I want my boy Matt McLean to be able to vibe out to this, during halftime with his teammates. I want people in the gym when they're on the treadmill, as I will be tomorrow morning actually.
That's right.
And doing their workouts, chasing their pump, chasing the pump. Uh, I want them enjoying that. That's why I make music like that. I love, hyping people up. I love sports. So I was thinking of those guys in mind for sure when I made Voice of the City. And I think that's something, like you're saying, it's an anthem. It's something I hear in ESPN. I definitely, when I'm able to make that opportunity happen, I will reach out to ESPN and see if we can get something going.
So now, when you're thinking about your music now, bro, because for example, like Voice in the City, it almost sounds like an anthem.
Yeah.
So the way that you describe it is like you're trying to hear it in a halftime game, more sports now.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the music in the future, are you thinking about them that way? Like, oh, I hear this in a commercial, or hey, this song can be in a new Netflix series, or hey, this track can be in a video game. So when you make your music now, do you think about them like that?
To a certain degree, yeah. I mean, like, even making Voice of City, when I made that first chunk, I was like, it needs, it's something sports. And the one thing I was missing too with it was also the feature. I was gonna get my boy Thrax on there. I think he just happened to be busy at the time, and he never ended up getting on the song. But then I sent it to Fizz, and Fizz kind of completed that for me. And then it really kind of came into fruition in the sense where, like, nah, like, let's do this. And then on top of that, Fizz mixed and mastered the track as well. So to go on to what you were saying, as on a little side note, I do kind of think of like stuff like that in mind. I don't really make it a forefront. You know, obviously to some artists, music is a business. I see it as making history and creativity. So my thing is more so in the sense where I'm not trying to make money off of it. Like, well, obviously make history, you make money.
Exactly.
But I always think about, I'm like, where does this fit in? Where does this, if it does fit in a video, fuck, dude.
No, you're good, bro. Don't trip. Don't trip.
If it does fit in a video game, if the shoe fits, it does fit. You know what I mean? Wear it, Cinderella. That's I always say. But yeah, I mean, it really depends. I try not to think about it like that, but sometimes it comes out like that.
Sometimes, yeah, exactly, man. Now, for the people, man, is there something that you could tell the people, bro? Something that you're cooking up, something that you got in the future? What can you tell us about that, man?
I will say this, because I can't speak too much.
Shh.
For the ladies, I got something for you coming in fall. I'm really excited to share that vulnerable side of myself with you guys and to get your perspective on it and kind of get a guy's perspective on this different side. It's not this project, from what I can say, is not your typical. It's lovey-dovey, but it's like it's a different side. You know, you're gonna see a more anxious, vulnerable side of the guys for sure.
Oh shit.
For the gentlemen, I will say that, you know, we're ready to take over. I'm here to play ball. I'm ready to show you what it means to be a champion and look to the summer for that. Pa mi gente latino, pa mi gente que se está escuchando reggaetón, está escuchando cumbia, está escuchando muchas cosas. Yo tengo unas canciones que estoy practicando más y más cada día en español, porque yo puedo hablar español, pero a veces atoro con ciertas palabras.
Pero
Y yo tengo unas canciones que van a estar posiblemente en este verano. Y si no en verano, va a estar casi en primavera o antes del invierno. So, estamos pensando en esos datos para esas canciones. Pero
quédense atentos. Quédense atentos.
quédense atentos, que ponen abusado. Pero yeah, so that's kind of where my headspace is at, is really just those three pockets. I want to, you know, touch everything. I want to be a position player, as I call it. I want to be utility. So
I love that, bro. So you heard it here, guys. Miklo's cooking us some shit. You guys better stay tuned. And then, man, one more question before we end this podcast, man.
Yes, sir.
What is a message, bro, that you want to give to the world?
Be kind. Don't be afraid to go on dates, even if it's with your friend, for the boys and girls. And the music you make can never be more or less than who you are as a human being.
I love that. You heard it here, guys. Now, Miklo, it was a pleasure, my guy.
It was a pleasure too.
Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for inviting me. This place is fucking dope. Shout out to Irvine. Shout out to Santana. Shout out to all my Latinos and Latinas out there. And we're going to close this out, guys. So if you guys haven't followed me, again, go ahead and follow me now. Everything is going to be in the descriptions. Catch me on the next one. And if you guys have an artist that, you know, you want to introduce or you want them in a pod, go ahead and write it down in the comments. Send me a message in Instagram. Don't forget to follow Miklo. Everything will be in the descriptions. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace. Like, comment, subscribe, all that shit.
All that shit.
Cause I'm trying to get to you, babe, but you make it so damn complicated. Even though I'm not with you, babe, I live forever in your headspace. I know that I'm not the only one, but am I so foolish to think on what could become?